Trauma doesn't just live in memory, it lives in structure. And that distinction matters more than almost anything else you'll hear today. When something overwhelming happens, something your nervous system cannot process in the moment, the brain doesn't file it away neatly, it encodes it physically. The amygdala, your brain's threat detection center, becomes larger, more reactive, more sensitive. The hippocampus, responsible for context, memory, and knowing when something is over, shrinks. And the prefrontal cortex, the part of you that reasons, that knows better, that can say, I am safe now, gets steadily crowded out. This is why you can know intellectually that you are safe and still not feel it. The knowledge sits in the prefrontal cortex. The danger signal fires from the amygdala. Two different structures running two entirely different programs, one shaped by threat, one shaped by understanding. And for years, sometimes decades, the amygdala wins. Not because you're weak, not because you haven't tried hard enough, but because the structure built during the danger is still there, still running, still treating the present like it's the past. Most people spend years trying to think their way out of this. They don't realize that thinking is not the tool. Experience is. Action is. Repetition is. In 2000, a neuroscientist named Eleanor Maguire decided to scan the brains of London taxi drivers. To become a licensed London cabbie, you must memorize every street, every landmark, every shortcut across one of the most complex cities on Earth. Over 25,000 streets. The training alone takes years. What Maguire found changed neuroscience permanently. The hippocampus, the brain's navigation and memory center, was physically larger in experienced drivers than in people who hadn't done the training. Not more active, not working harder, structurally, measurably larger. The brain had grown new tissue in direct response to sustained demand. And the longer a driver had been on the road, the more pronounced the difference. That finding did something important. It demolished a belief that had dominated science for most of the 20th century, that the adult brain was fixed, finished, that the structure you had at 25 was the structure you kept, that some people were simply wired a certain way, and that was that. Maguire's taxi drivers proved otherwise. But here is the part that matters most, the part that changes how you think about change itself. The hippocampus didn't grow by thinking about streets. It grew by driving them. It wasn't desire that built new structure. It wasn't intention. It wasn't sitting quietly with a map, visualizing routes, willing the brain to reorganize. Those drivers took the wrong turn, found the right one, day after day. London didn't enter their brains as an idea. It entered as accumulated physical experience, mile by mile, until the structure of the city was encoded in the structure of their minds. Neuroplasticity research on change shows it does not happen through insight alone. Not because insight doesn't matter, it does, but because insight is the map, not the driving. And the brain only changes through the driving. The brain rewires through repeated experience, through action taken differently than before, through exposure to what was previously avoided, doing something differently consistently enough that a new pathway gradually becomes the path of least resistance. And that process runs on three specific mechanisms. The first is repetition. Every time you respond differently to a trigger, you do two things at once. You weaken the old pathway by not using it, and you begin building a new one. That feels effortful because you are doing construction on live infrastructure. That effort is not a sign it isn't working, it's the sign that it is. Uncomfortable means building. That's not a warning, that's the signal you're in it. The second mechanism is novelty. New experiences force the brain to form connections it has no existing template for. Genuine exposure to the unfamiliar. Situations where your current neural map runs out, where your brain must reach for something it hasn't used before. Plasticity increases precisely when the brain cannot rely on what it already knows. Comfort is efficient.
Novelty is generative. The third mechanism is the most underestimated: sleep. During deep sleep, the brain consolidates new pathways built during the day. The brain does not change while you are pushing, it changes while you are resting. Construction happens in the day, renovation happens at night. Skip the renovation, and the construction doesn't hold. At last, change requires sustained inconsistency with your past self. Not one brave moment, sustained, repeated, friction bearing inconsistency. Because your brain is not trying to make you happy, it is trying to make you efficient.
And the most efficient version of you is the one that already exists. Every time you default to the old pattern, your brain rewards that with ease. Every time you choose differently, it charges that with friction. That friction is not failure. That friction is the rewiring. The taxi drivers didn't grow new brain structure by wanting to know London. They grew it by driving it again and again. You are not your history. You are a brain that is changing right now. The only question is this: what are you building it around?